Managing Director of Paragon Trust Company and tax and private client practitioner, joins us to bring a common sense approach to money in a world of total insanity. Let's welcome Tony D'Angelo.
All right, so before we go to Tony, and everyone is just over the moon excited out there, Greg writes into us, one of my old friends, maybe one of the best athletes I ever played with, but Greg writes into us, we arrived at 5:45 and took our place in line and eventually reached Great Neck Road. Once the doors opened, it took us 25 minutes to get through the line. And this is Great Neck in Waterford. It was very orderly, and people were in good spirits. So telling everybody to stay safe out there. So, Tony, I tell you, we're going to be talking mostly about the election today, but you want to talk about the day after today, right?
Yes, and, proud to be among you. And, I have the honor on this great network of being the leadoff hitter on D-Day. And I'm probably going to be the only guy that's going to talk about the day after tomorrow. And first of all, a special thanks to Lee Elci, who's provided a voice for, folks like me and others who really don't have a voice. And I took some time this week, and I started to list every single thing that we're going to be faced with as a state of Connecticut. And I realize we have friends in New York and Rhode Island who are really kind of similar for the same reasons. These are just some of the economic things that we're going to be dealing with regardless of who's there. Tolls, paid family and medical leave, the guaranteed minimum wage ain't that great. Can't keep the restaurants open, but we have a guaranteed minimum wage. The State Retirement Authority, mandatory retirement plans for businesses that are just about broke. So we are now once again in the land of lockdowns and closures. The fixation on minimal figures of positivity, testing and tracing. I'm starting to look at this AMN healthcare stuff. I've got a stack of stuff that we didn't get to when we did the whole thing with the governor that's absolutely unbelievable. This one takes the cake and the candles. It is absolutely... I had to put it down yesterday. That's how angry I was. We've been talking about this, and the silence is deafening. Nobody really seems to care about just the level of this, whatever you want to call it, internecine corruption. The higher ed, our great state university without a tax exemption. These are all the things we've talked about, Lee Elci, since we've been on the air. And we look at this state, regardless of what happens nationally, we're still underfunded, underprepared, and unable. And if we don't make serious changes right now, whatever we're doing, whatever's happened right now, hasn't worked. And it's just that those of us that like being here and want to remain here, I guess it's up to us because we ain't seeing nothing happening. Your ball.
Well, you see it from. As far as corruption, you mentioned corruption from almost the top down. In the last week or so, maybe 10 days, a story broke regarding the vice president of the United States. Half of the country just turns that off. Actually, 90% of the media outlets don't broadcast it. My concern is nobody cares about that anymore. And is that possible? Nobody cares about corruption?
Well, I think it really comes down to nobody cares about corruption if you somehow think you're benefiting from it. It's the kind of thing that people talk about racial struggles, and I understand them. I grew up in an integrated community, but I say in Connecticut we've got two races. We've got everybody that's got something to do with government is race number one, and everybody else race number two. It's absolutely. I think that if you see your meal ticket going out the door, it doesn't matter to you anymore. That's the only reasonable conclusion I'd come up with.
I must feel as though there's a chunk of, like you said, a chunk of the population that picks a team, and then that's it. No matter what that person does, they either make an excuse for him. If it's if it's something terrible, they make an excuse. They come up or create a scenario where it's okay. It's the same idea with Lamont here in the state of Connecticut. You've spelled out numerous scenarios where this guy has done very skeptical things, and you actually presented some unbelievable pieces of information, and only a couple of news outlets actually ran with it. I don't know why that is.
The silence is deafening, and to those that haven't voted, consider this. is this the kind of environment you like? I mean, our wonderful cities, who have such incredible potential. I mean, it's like I'll go to New Haven and Kathy will say, you need to get out in an hour. And you think of the culture, the literacy, the libraries. But what are we fixated on? We're fixated on the fact that we have a half percentage up in the positivity rate. And the thing is, they're in this for the long game. And this AMN healthcare contract, again, haven't even scratched the surface. $23 million, testing, tracing, same abuses of personal information. And I haven't even really started with this. Think about the world you want to see in 2021, people, because I'm speechless.
It's going to take somebody. Listen, I know folks who are going to tell me that I'm wrong and Trump is this way, but it's going to take someone who generally has no concern for themselves, who is a great leader, has a great heart with that, and can be a leader of men, whether that be a person, be a woman or a man. And they have to put the country or the state or their town first and let the peripherals sort of fall to the wayside. Because I just don't know if we've had that in a long, long time. I almost can point to Reagan, but Reagan probably, you can pick and choose some parts of his administration that you would say, well, he was out for this and that and the other. But I just feel like there's got to be somebody coming, that beacon of light on the hill. That, and again, I've always said this, and people disagree with me. I don't know what you feel about this, Tony. I think that Trump is got the best interests of the country at heart. I honestly believe that. But Trump's not a unifier. He's a disruptor. He is, he came in and his, the goal of his was to break everything apart. Now, he hasn't completely successfully done that. But I think after another 4 years of Trump, a great unifier would be a perfect sort of fit.
Well, that's absolutely true. I mean, Trump called the system for what it was. But he called the system for what it was into the thing of, this is bad, and that's true, and it is bad, and it is a swamp, and we have swamps locally. But does somebody come after that, and this is what we have to do in order to make it better? And I think you hit it on the head, Lee Elci, which is the fact that people have really got to stop thinking in terms of campaigning and in terms of governing. And I'm seeing very, very few people that really get that. They're playing the political game. I mean, because we have, on one side an unspeakable mess, and on another side, just things that, we go through here, that I go through when I'm able to go through, that aren't really circulated. It's like, get in the ball game, people.
Right. Amazing. All right, so I assume you're going out there to vote today?
Yes, and I'm a traditionalist, and we're going out in person and voting. And believe me, people aren't really happy about that, and it's just that I don't get it. But people died on Iwo Jima for the fact that I can go and cast my ballot, and I'm never, ever going to let them down.
Well, listen, Tony, what you bring to us on Tuesday mornings, we don't want to replace it. We're so happy that you're a part of the program. We appreciate you, and thank you for doing what you do, my friend.
It is an honor and a pleasure, and I wish everybody a great election day, and we pray for this country, and let's keep working and praying, and we'll do a good job.
All right, Tony. We'll be back.